Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi Team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show Hamilton edition with host Rick Zamperin.
I guess we can say Christmas edition as well. Merry Christmas to one and all, and hopefully everyone is going to be safe and happy this holiday season. And what a barn burner of a show we have for you today. We're going to look at what some are calling a robust housing outlook for Hamilton, Burlington in the year ahead. We're also going to take a look back in time when we were small and kids and thought about what would a $1 million home look like. We'll also get into interest rates and a whole lot of local stuff as well. But I want to remind you, if you want to sell your house or you are in the market to buy a house, call the number one REMAX team in Canada. That's the Golfi Team, 905-575-7700. Online at robgolfi.com. That's Rob, Golfi.com. And you can also check them out on social media, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, or X. They're all over the social media game. We'll begin as we usually do. Rob, what is happening in your real estate life this week?
Well, one thing that we did earlier this week is we have a meeting at towards the end of every year, our leadership team. So I got my media guy, like graphics and marketing, my personal assistant, my director of sales, and there's about 7 of us, and we actually get away from the office, we get away from the area so that we're not interrupted, no phones, no laptops, and we sit and talk about some of the things that we've accomplished over the year and things that we want to achieve in the new year. And it's been pretty good. This is our 3rd year doing this, and it's amazing. So we hire a company to come and help us direct us through this, and it's very enlightening. It positive, and we feel like, you know what, we run our business like a real business, not like just off the cuff. We don't do that, and I know. A lot of realtors, they do that, but we have meetings with the leadership team every single Wednesday morning at 9:30, and so we talk about what needs to be done and all the things that we're trying to accomplish, our goals and everything like that. So we accomplished quite a bit in 2023, which was fantastic because we looked at everything that we did, and it was great to see that we did that. So we did a little bit of an aggressive plan for 2024. So that was pretty good, and we actually stayed in Jordan. There was a Inn on the 20. The hotel there was fantastic. It's like a conference center that they had meeting rooms and stuff like that. So we spent 2 days there, 2 days in there, and it was fantastic. So looking forward to 2024. It was pretty good.
When you look back at 2023, and you mentioned you hit many of the achievements that you wanted to hit. Was there one thing in particular you were happy about, or maybe surprised that you actually did so in this challenging market?
Well, you know what? The hard thing about this market was my budget was based on 2021. So like for marketing and everything else. And when 2022 came in and 2023, I did not scale back, and I kept the marketing the same way. And most people would have scaled back, but so what happened was the company made probably less money, but I kept everything else the same. So right. I could have scaled back quite a bit and just say, okay, let's the margins weren't working out. But I think coming into the new year, doing that is going to pay off. And we did see a lot of other real estate teams scale back, and we just kept going. We kept pushing through and kept going through, and we saw that it did make a difference in our sales, and everything else. And education wise, we have full-time trainers that train our agents to make sure that they're always trained and experienced and everything else like that. That was one thing that we spend a lot of money on training with our team, and we'll never give that up because that's the most important thing that makes our team successful. But we've accomplished quite a bit of things. We've written down a bunch of goals for next year, and we're looking pretty excited.
You also recorded a sudden sales spike in the last week? What's going on?
Yeah, like it was quiet, and I always say usually the end of the month is always when it picks up. So this is telling me we know buyers right now, they're sitting on the fence. They're sitting and sitting, waiting. And I think they're waiting to see if the market's down. The market is down now. Like if you buy a house now in 4 to 6 months, you're going to say, I'm glad I did it. Because and you're going to say, you know what? But in 4 to 6 months from now, the housing prices are going to start climbing again. They're going to, and like right now, there's deals out there. There's deals. The market was dormant for a bit. It picked up a little bit because there's only so long that it can go with hardly any buyers buying. Buyers need to buy. They're just sitting and waiting. So now they're saying, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And the ones that are doing it now, they're getting good deals. We had a listing in Burlington, and this listing in Burlington should have sold for probably 1.1 million, 1,150,000. It should have. You're not going to believe it. It sold for 950,000. So that tells me, wow. Yeah, exactly. So there's good deals out there. Now Burlington, and it happened last year, and I predict it'll happen again this year. You go and buy a house and aggressively negotiate on a house right now in Burlington. You close on that deal in probably April or the end of March, April. You will make 100 to 150,000 quickly. So you buy now, close on it in the middle of April or middle of March, and then put it up for sale a week later. You'll have it sold again, and you just made 100, 150,000. I know, and that's how it happened last year. But you know what? Being in this business such a long time, you get to know the trends. You get to know what people are doing, and knowing what happened last year. I think it's going to repeat itself this year, and the reason why I feel that is because there is a shortage of homes, and because people are sitting on the fence. That tells me people are going to come back. Our sales picked up just this past week. I couldn't believe it. Like I'm looking at the sales numbers and I'm going, oh, what's going on in this market? You know what I mean? I'm hard on myself when it comes to that. I'm very competitive. I'm driven, all that kind of stuff. And I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And it just keeps me on top of things. I always run my business at in fear, always, and which is good because that means you're going to be on your toes, but it's not good because you're going to be maybe stressed all the time. So, but I always do run my business in fear. But sales did pick up this past week. All the agents say, hey, things, I did this, I got this one sold, I got this one sold, we got this one sold, was fantastic, and so I think the numbers for December for the Golfi team will be pretty good once the month is out. And
it's great to hear. Yeah. Also, very surprising to hear that 409 homes sold for under $500,000 this year. I didn't even know there were homes listed for under $500K.
I know. You know what? And I wanted to see how much there is so many good deals out there. Okay, they may not be in the best areas. A lot of them are north of Cannon Street or Barton or whatever. But there was one that I sent you on Burton Street that sold this year, which was, when did that sell? That sold in October. I got to tell you, that one there, if I saw that, and that came, and it probably come out. You can't look at every house that comes up, but that one there, I can't believe it. It was on the market for 72 days. And it sold for $245,000. This is a 900 square foot home, and I don't think, I'm not sure if it had a basement or not, but it was on Burton Street, and the house looked great inside. That's the opportunity where you can buy a house, and in my opinion, that house in 10 years, you put $50,000 down as a down payment, but that's if you're going 20%. But you can go in with 5% down on this house as a first-time buyer. So that'd be like $10,000, $15,000. And that your $10,000, $15,000 investment will probably quadruple, because if this house doubles in 10 years. So that means the house appreciated, let's say another 250,000 to keep the numbers round. So your $10,000-$15,000 made another $250,000 in 10 years. Not a bad investment.
Wow.
This was a great investment for either somebody moving in or somebody buying as an investment property. They're out there. There's a lot of properties that sold in Hamilton under the 500 and even in the 200 range. And some of those were that needed to be torn down and demolished and rebuilt, or some of them like needed outside and inside, and all you're going to get is just the frame of the house. But the opportunities are out there in Hamilton, and that's why I feel Hamilton next year is going to be a good year for real estate if anybody's looking.
Well, in this home that you sent me the on Burton Street, sold for $245,000. When we talk about affordable housing, this is proof that affordable housing does indeed exist in this city. You just have to look in the right places.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're here. They're here. And look at this. They were asking $299.90, right? Again, this is the market was dormant. This is opportunity. Like I said, people buying today, you're gonna say, thank God I bought when I did, because it's going to change in the next 3 months, 4 months. But yeah, the affordable housing, it's out there for sure in the Hamilton area. This
is, I think, going to be a fun topic, because when we were little kids and we had visions of, well, sugar plums dancing in our head, but $1 million homes, we had a picture in our mind of this glorious mansion, immaculately landscaped, maybe a butler, a couple of Bentleys in front. The reality is, Rob, that's a very different picture today, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It is. And I showed you the difference. And as a kid, growing up, people would look at it, oh, it'd be nice to live in a mansion. You know, all those shows on TV that you see, all these big, beautiful houses. And then now $1 million house is kind of like an old 1950s bungalow with a garage that needs repair. That's what $1 million gets you. What a disappointment in this world and in life that we have, that $1 million gets you. But and it's not going to change. We're going to have, Canada is going to be probably one of the top 4 countries in the world, expensive wise to live in. And it's just, we're going to be known for that. And it's going to take a long time before it changes. But the prices aren't dropping like 30%, another 30% down again. Like it's just sitting there. Like, I mean, but there's still deals. We have to accept that where the prices are, but you can get deals, especially the time of the year that you're buying.
In 20 to 30 years from now, will living in that $1 million home now be considered a luxury?
It will be. In 20 to 30 years from now, I truly feel that owning a detached home, single-family detached home, will be like just luxury alone on its own, whether it's like beautiful or not. Like, kids will be in, after on their class high school reunion, they get back together 10 years after they graduate, and they're saying, hey, yeah, where are you living? Well, I'm living in an apartment, or I'm living in a duplex, or I'm living in a townhouse. And one guy says, well, I'm living in a detached home. Whoa, like, you're going to look at that person, even though the detached home may not be the greatest, it needs a lot of work, but detached homes is going to be kind of a luxury to a certain degree, because the way things are going, like the governments are allowing people to have build infrastructure, build within the immediate core of the downtown areas, like in the city centers, and they want density. And so it's funny how life is gone, because in the 50s, when a couple got married, the one spouse would go to work. Right, he's the main breadwinner, and he'd come home, and the other spouse would stay home and raise the kids, and they could live on one income. Then as time went on, probably, I don't know when that started, as the 80s, the second spouse, the other spouse started working. So now what happened was now you got dual income. So when that started, those people were able to buy a better house, a little more value, and upgrade the house. But then everybody started doing it, and that's what drove the market up. Well, now people need an apartment in the basement. So now you got the couple that has dueling, like they got income, both of them, but in order to afford a house, they have a basement apartment to rent out so they can afford the house. Well, now we're going into fourplexes and things like that. So it seems like as generations are going on and on and on, we need to find other avenues of money to pay for the house. And that's what seems to happen. Like in 30 years from now, you're gonna have to section off your basement into 2 or 3 different like bachelor units to afford to live in your house, and it's just the way society's going. I mean, wages just went up in the last like 2-3 years. That hasn't gone up in a long time, and we were living at like wages didn't move at all for a long time, and they did just recently because of the house. Everybody needed more income to afford anything anymore. And is that going to happen again for another 10 years or 15 years, where wages all of a sudden they stop and they idle there for a while before they're forced to get increases in wages?
Yeah, I can see it with the multi-density push in this city and many other cities. That's going to be a reality in 20 to 30 years for sure. The latest REMAX housing market outlook report is out, and it shows that Hamilton real estate and Burlington's housing sector are expected to be robust in 2024. So the prediction is that in Hamilton, home sales are projected to jump by 2%. Prices are forecasted to rise by 3.5% to around $830,000, and the city is going to be in a balanced housing market next year. And over in Burlington, home prices expected to surge by 4% to around $1.15 million, and sales are expected to rise by about 3%. And again, Burlington will become a balanced market. Are you on the same page here? Are you expecting kind of the same?
I think it's going to be a little better than that for next year, because I don't know if it's a gut feeling, but I just think that this year went through a lot of people just kind of sat back and waited. And I think we're gonna see the increase in pricing better than the 3 or 4% or 2%. I think we're going to see more sales. I truly feel that it will be a balanced market. It just depends. Timing is going to be an issue next year, and that's going to be the hard part. We're to find out. So, for instance, like, you know how we say February is a good time to get your house on the market? Well, Niagara, it falls behind. In Niagara, it's March. And, it's like the Queen Elizabeth the wave didn't get there just yet, so they're always behind. But I do feel that next year will be a good year for both buyers and sellers. But people that are selling, if they could waited for 2024, they'll actually do a little better on their house. But if they're buying at the same time, it just equals out anyway. But yeah, no, I think 2024 is going to be a fantastic year. I'm more optimistic about 2024 than I was in at the end of 2022, thinking about what 2023 was going to be. So I'm excited for 2024.
This report, again, the REMAX Housing Market Outlook report, also shows that single-family homes are expected to drive growth in Hamilton in 2024. And that should come as no surprise. We just talked about it. It's kind of like grabbing the brass ring. It's at the top of the wish list.
Oh, yeah. Like it's tough, but and also interest rates are probably going to come down. So I'm telling you, like, it's just, we haven't had any interest rate hikes. I think 2 or 3 months in a row or anything. Like, it's been stable, and they're being very cautious in what direction they want to go. They always say, well, we always can go up in interest rates, but it hasn't, they haven't done that at all.
Well, and that is kind of the feeling, and what Tiff Macklem, the Bank of Canada governor, had said back on December 6th, the last time that they had an opportunity to either raise or lower or keep the status quo, and they kept it at 5%. And he was saying, listen, in 2024, it's likely that the rate is going to go down, but also, cautioned, I think, consumers from just going nuts and spending because, well, it's still going to be at 4.75%. And if there is a secondary hike or secondary decline in the key lending rate from the central bank, it's probably going to be another quarter of a percentage point. So by the end of next year, we might be sitting at 4.5% compared to 5%. From a house buying and selling perspective, is that going to be a big factor in what people are going to do next year?
Oh, absolutely. And the one thing is that the Bank of Canada is going to be very cautious and watch that very closely. They don't want to all of a sudden do a drop and all of a sudden it just spurs everything and then we got multiple offers. They don't want that. And it's not good because that drives the prices up too much and too fast. But they're going to be watching that very carefully. They know they need to drop interest rates for builders to build. They know they need to do that, and because we have a shortage of homes, we've been saying that for quite a few years. So they are going to watch that very closely. So they may do a quarter point drop sometime in the late spring, summer. See how it goes, and if it may spur a little more activity in the market, but not crazy. Will be good. They may do another quarter point maybe in the fall. It's hard to tell which direction they're going to go, but they're going to watch that very closely. And I think timing wise, like I said earlier, timing wise now is good. If you're going to get a mortgage, get a 1 year open so that you can actually negotiate and get another mortgage if you can get a price drop. But I would get a 1 year mortgage now if I was getting. Or go variable. Take the risk and go variable because the rates will drop at some time mid to the end of next year.
When it comes to an interest rate drop, and we're expecting one, maybe two, as I mentioned, next year, when it comes to mortgage renewals, because we know that there's going to be millions upon millions of dollars that are going to be spent when people are renewing their mortgage. Maybe they're coming out of a 5-year fixed in which they had a 1.5% or 2%, mortgage rate. Now they're going to be looking at 5.5%, 6.5%. Do you get a sense, or maybe you've already seen this, that people who have renewed their mortgage are thinking, wow, I can't afford this. I have to sell. Are there any or many instances of that?
Yeah, there is. Absolutely. People know that even they're getting out before they can get in trouble. And it's sad because they work so hard to own a house. But I mean, they'll leave with some equity, but hopefully they don't, spend that equity on something that is like on stuff that doesn't increase in value. But let's just hope that they, find a way. Some of them are downsizing. I know a lot of people are downsizing on their mortgages. Maybe they bought like a $1.2 million house. I mean, that was something they wanted, but maybe they didn't need, and they're dropping down to maybe like a $700,000-800,000 house. Like they're going to, instead of a big two-story, 4-bedroom, fairly newer 5-year-old 2-story home, they're going down to probably maybe a $700,000-800,000 bungalow that's built probably in the 50s and 60s, and may need a little painting and a little bit of work, but it's manageable and affordable for them, and they still own real estate, and a lot of people are going that route, and which is smart, and because they'll still own real estate, and they'll still have control of owning a house instead of renting a house. The biggest problem about people when they rent is landlords when they sell the house. I mean, they have to move. You know what I mean? And that's a hard thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I guess there's a number of options. Either you can downsize, which many people are. Going the rental route might be a good short-term play if you don't see the home that you want to downsize to on the market. The other option too, and I'm not sure if this would be a factor employment-wise, would be to move out of province. And in 2023, we saw a lot of that. A lot of people moving to Nova Scotia, a lot of Ontarians moving to Alberta, a lot of people in BC moved to Alberta. So that's another option too. But again, that is employment based too. If you're a place of employment doesn't allow that, you're kind of, in a pickle.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, Calgary is one of the cities that is seeing an influx of migration of people moving from Ontario and British Columbia. Affordability, housing prices are great. And it's a beautiful city to live in. I mean, like it's gorgeous. I think they've got more sunny days than any other city in Canada. I think Calgary was known for that. So I mean, it's not a bad city to live in, but people are moving around, and that's probably one city people would probably move. Again, if their job allows them to, but a lot of people are, work out of their home, they can do it as long as their company doesn't request them to come back to the office. I think, they're in good shape.
We got one more minute in this segment. This report also identifies that open houses are really no more, which is funny because there's a home on my street that went up for sale recently. And the first thing they did within the first week was have an open house, and I don't think it was very busy. Have open houses just completely died?
No, I think I think they're wrong on that, because like we do about probably on a, like, not right now because of the holiday season, but we're doing sometimes 30 to 50 open houses a weekend. I mean, meaning like
Wow.
30 to 50 different homes. We have open houses. I mean, we got a large team, and they're doing it. And I'm texting a lot of hey, how's your open house doing? And I can gauge on the different areas and the different price ranges and see who are looking. And in the lower price range, there's a lot of buyers looking. I mean, a lot of them are feeling the market out. They want to buy, but they're just kind of scared just because of they're unsure about interest rates, unsure about pricing of the housing prices and everything else. But then all of a sudden, for some reason, I don't know if it's in the air, that people start, they all jump in at the same time and buy, but people are looking. I do believe in open houses are still busy.
Underbidding, Mr. Golfi. We haven't really talked about underbidding, I don't think, ever on the show. If that, it was probably happened years ago, but it's in fact taking place in places like St. Catharines, just down the highway. Guelph, another city that underbidding is occurring. Are we seeing any of it in Hamilton, Burlington, or even Niagara?
Absolutely. I'm going to tell you a story that I've been working on for probably about 10 days. And so I've got this property. I just sold it. This week. So I got this property. It's in Niagara Falls, and it was on the market prior with another agent. So they called me in, and I priced it right. I said, "Here's the price." They go, "Okay, great, no problem." And I go, We're gonna get people. We're gonna get action on it. We're gonna get offers, but we're gonna probably reject a lot of offers. I got a lot of offers. They were all low, Rick. They were all low, and they, like, we were asking 900. These guys were coming in at 830, 850. Like, they weren't coming up high, and I'm telling agents, hey, we want very close to the asking price. If don't waste our time. Just say we will get it. If we don't get it now, my clients will get that number. And these agents from out of town, they're, especially in Toronto, they it's how you convince them. You have to sell them, right? This is where the sales. and I was telling this agent, and he comes in with an offer, and no problem. And we were working with him. Then another offer comes in the same day. And so then I told the other agent that came in with the second offer, they come in at 830. I go, you're in competition. I'm like, we're asking 900. She goes, oh, do you think? And then she's telling me verbally, well, you think they'll go 840? I go, no. I go, they won't go even. and then she goes up another 10,000. What about 850? I go, listen. Wow. I said, go look for houses that are in the 850 range. We're not doing that. So she ends up sending an offer for 860. So we just rejected it. This house did sell close to asking, and but I did convince the guy. Say, listen, we will wait. I told my clients that, listen, your house will sell. I priced it right. It will sell. And we actually got very close to the asking price, close to the 900. And they were really happy with that. And they were happy that I stuck my guns and that I convinced the agent that we will get that. If not now, we will get it next year. And so anyway, they're really happy. We put the deal together. and it is. But there is a lot of underbidding going on. It's tough. Like you got to be tough, and the negotiations are getting tougher and tougher. People are coming in 50,000 less, 100,000. It just depends on the price point. But you got to, if you got your house priced right, stand your ground because they know it. But they're just trying to get a good deal, and it depends how strong the agent is. And if the agent is strong to stand up to the buying agent and say, "Hey, here's why we came up with this price. Here is what it's worth," and then they'll come up to that price. But you got to convince them, and you got to show the confidence in your ability to sell them on the fact that you priced it right.
And certainly when there are multiple bids that are under the asking price, I'm sure it plays with the psyche of the home seller to think, is my home price right?
Oh, absolutely. It does. Now, if you have an overpriced house, you're getting all these offers below, it kind of like, especially if you get two offers and they're both very similar in price, and it's like, and they're both of them are 50,000 less. You'd be saying to the homeowner, say, listen, you know what? This is what the market's willing to pay right now. And these guys are competing against each other. So like so you have to look at that. And like, it's tough, especially in Niagara. In Niagara, a lot of low bids. And it's like, I just had, my son-in-law goes, hey, when do you think we should put the house out? I said, wait till mid-January. I says, don't do it now. He lives in Niagara on the Lake. And I said, just wait then. I said, I go, if you put it on now, you're just gonna date the listing. So just put it on then and wait.
And the two most searched words on the internet when it comes to real estate: separate entrance. Rob, how many times have people that you've been showing homes to have asked you, does this home have a separate entrance?
Absolutely. It is. People ask, we actually put that in listings. Separate entrance, private for like in-law situation and duplexes and stuff like that. Separate entrance is very important. You're going to start seeing a lot of two-story homes built with a side entrance. You're going to see that. Sometimes people, when they're going to the builder and they're saying, hey, they can add upgrades and stuff like that. A lot of them are starting to put a side entrance into the two-story, which leads to the downstairs, which they have the opportunity to build an apartment there, and it goes up to the main floor. So you're going to see separate entrance is a key word. I'm not surprised it's the number one search term on Google.
I'm gonna guess too that. Do you think this could be a staple in new home builds as well?
Oh, absolutely. Because they know builders are using that also as, hey, we have a side separate entrance for a possible in-law setup. Because usually two stories, they have the front entrance and then they have the back sliding doors leading to the back patio. But now they're adding the side entrance. So they're adding, like the sidewalk that goes up the side of the house, and then you have a side entrance. So your staircase to go downstairs on a traditional, just regular two-story home is not going to have. It's going to be at the side of the house going downstairs versus in the middle where you have an open, spiral staircase going downstairs. It just like just your basic house, two-story, probably 2,200 square foot, 2,100 square foot home. And it just allows them to have a basement entrance privately, and those are going to go like hotcakes because that's what's selling right now.
Does that add more value to the home? I know it's a hotly searched item, but in terms of value, if you have two houses together, they're exactly the same. One is a separate entrance. Is that more valuable?
It is. You should see when we're walking through a house and looking at it, and I'm hoping there's like a little kitchen. Okay, well, there's a microwave we can use. That could be an oven. You got a little refrigerator. You got a sink there. Say, we'll call this an in-law. So you know what I mean? Like somebody could. I mean, we are trying so hard to find, try to make it so sellable because the people that are looking out there, they're looking for like an apartment downstairs. They are looking. They need a house that they either can have an extended family live in the basement, or rent out the basement. They are looking for that with a separate entrance. And so when we see that, that's like for realtors, it's like gold. And because we know, especially with the migration that's coming into Canada, a lot of families, they need the help with the rental income to help pay for the house, being new in Canada. And so they want that additional income to help pay for the mortgage, and that's why separate entrance is huge, and it's going to be even bigger in the next 5 to 10 years.
We talked earlier in the show about multi-unit housing and how it is going to be quite popular in places like Hamilton, because we're not growing out, we're growing up, and we're looking at a lot of vacant spaces in this community to build these multi-unit facilities. Vancouver's doing the same, and actually, they passed a zoning and development bylaw to say, listen, we have some areas of the city and where we're going to build these multiple unit dwellings. When it comes to our neck of the woods, I think of Ancaster and Dundas in particular when it comes to maximum height. We're definitely going to see these multi-unit housing pop up in the city. Do you anticipate any big changes in Ancaster and Dundas when it comes to the height restriction?
It's hard where they're going to allocate where you can do that. I think there'd be a lot of backlash, especially in the higher end neighborhoods. Yeah. But you are going to see that if there's a lot and in a regular residential, maybe even newer neighborhood, you can build maybe a two family home or 4 family home in there on a small lot. I'm sure height restrictions is going to be a factor, but you can subdivide that. So we're gonna have major parking issues because we talked about this before, how people sometimes, every person has a car. So how many cars can you fit on a lot that has 2, 3, or 4 units in there? It's going to be tough, but they're going to allow it. They're going to bring it on, and it's because they want to go high density.
Final minute of the show. I want to express our gratitude to the Golfi team and informing our audience each and every week about what's happening in the real estate world, offering the whole Golfi family and the whole team a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And I'll give you the opportunity to do the same for our listeners here on CHML.
Yes, happy holidays and Merry Christmas to everyone. And please be safe and don't drink and drive, please.